Breaking Bad may have ended over a decade ago, but the cultural impact of its protagonist still reverberates today. What is it about this mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher turned methamphetamine manufacturer that has captivated the hearts and minds of so many, especially men? In this video, we'll explore the reasons why men are drawn to Walter White. From his relentless pursuit of power and control, to his complex masculinity and his journey of transformation, we'll examine what makes this character so compelling and how he resonates with male audiences. So sit back, relax, and join us as we unravel the mystery behind the man who started it all. Walter White's struggle for power. Walter White's struggle for power is one of the central themes of Breaking Bad. From the moment we meet him, we see a man who is dissatisfied with his life and yearning for something more. When he's diagnosed with cancer, he sees an opportunity to provide for his family by using his skills as a chemist to cook and sell methamphetamine. But it's not just about money for Walter. He craves power and control. As he becomes more successful in the drug trade, he becomes more ruthless, more manipulative, and more dangerous. He takes pleasure in asserting his dominance over his enemies and his partners, and he's not afraid to resort to violence to get what he wants. So why does this struggle for power resonate so deeply with men? For starters, men are often socialized to be competitive and driven by a desire to succeed. Walter White embodies these traits to an extreme degree. He is a man who refuses to be a victim, who takes control of his own destiny and refuses to let anyone stand in his way. This is a trait that many men aspire to emulate. Furthermore, Walter's struggle for power can be seen as a metaphor for the struggle that many men face in their lives. Whether it's in their careers, their relationships, or their personal lives, men are often faced with challenges that require them to assert themselves and fight for what they want. Walter's journey from meek and powerless to a powerful and feared figure is a story that many men can relate to on a fundamental level. Of course, Walter's pursuit of power is not without its consequences. As he becomes more ruthless and violent, he loses touch with his humanity and his moral compass. He alienates his family and friends, and his actions have far-reaching consequences that he can never fully anticipate. In conclusion, Walter White's struggle for power is a driving force behind his character and the show as a whole. It speaks to something deep within the male psyche and offers a powerful and provocative commentary on the nature of ambition and success. Whether we love him or hate him, Walter White is a character that we can't help but be captivated by. Walter White's anti-heroism. Walter White's anti-heroism is one of the defining characteristics that sets him apart from other television protagonists. An anti-hero is a character who lacks traditional heroic qualities such as courage, morality, and altruism. Instead, they often have flaws and qualities that make them difficult to root for, yet still compelling. Walter White is a perfect example of an anti-hero. He starts out as a sympathetic character, a mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher who's struggling to make ends meet. But as he becomes involved in the drug trade, he becomes increasingly ruthless and immoral, putting his own interests above all else. He lies to his family, manipulates his partners, and even kills to protect his empire. So why are men drawn to this type of character? One reason is that anti-heroes often challenge traditional gender roles and stereotypes. Men are often expected to be strong, brave, and morally upright. But anti-heroes like Walter White are complex, flawed, and often vulnerable. They show that men can be multidimensional and struggle with their own morality and values. Another reason is that anti-heroes can be seen as a rebellion against the status quo. In a world where everything is increasingly sanitized and politically correct, anti-heroes like Walter White offer a refreshing break from the norm. They push boundaries, break rules, and challenge authority in ways that many men find appealing. But perhaps the biggest reason why men are drawn to Walter White's anti-heroism is that it's relatable. We all have moments where we struggle with our own morality and values. We all have flaws and weaknesses that we try to hide from the world. Walter's journey from a sympathetic underdog to a ruthless drug lord is a reminder that anyone can be pushed to their breaking point. Walter White's masculinity. From his initial emasculation as a high school chemistry teacher to his eventual transformation into a drug lord, Walter's journey can be seen as a struggle to reclaim his masculinity. At the start of the show, Walter is a man who feels emasculated by his circumstances. He's stuck in a dead-end job, struggling to pay his bills, and belittled by his students and colleagues. When he's diagnosed with cancer, he sees an opportunity to assert his masculinity by providing for his family through his criminal activities. As Walter becomes more successful in the drug trade, he also becomes more aggressive and domineering. He takes on a more traditionally masculine role as a provider and protector, using his power to control and manipulate those around him. He takes pride in his ability to outsmart his enemies, and his reputation as a ruthless and feared figure only adds to his sense of masculinity. However, this hypermasculinity also has its downsides. Walter's obsession with power and control leads him to alienate his family and friends, and his violent and immoral actions ultimately bring about his downfall. The show seems to suggest that Walter's masculine identity is ultimately unsustainable and self-destructive. But at the same time, Walter's struggle to reclaim his masculinity is something that many men can relate to. Men are often socialized to see themselves as providers and protectors, and the fear of losing that sense of identity can be overwhelming. Walter's journey is a powerful example of how that fear can drive a man to desperate measures. Walter White's masculinity is a complex and often problematic aspect of his character. While his quest to reclaim his masculinity can be relatable, it ultimately leads him down a path of violence and destruction. The show offers a nuanced exploration of what it means to be a man in modern society, and how traditional notions of masculinity can be both empowering and destructive. Walter White's transformation. The show follows Walter's journey from a mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher to a ruthless drug lord. But more than just a physical transformation, Walter undergoes a profound change in his personality, values, and relationships. At the start of the show, Walter is a man who feels powerless and unfulfilled. He's stuck in a dead-end job, struggling to provide for his family, and facing a terminal illness. But as he becomes involved in the drug trade, he begins to experience a sense of agency and control that he's never felt before. He becomes increasingly ruthless and immoral, using his intelligence and scientific knowledge to gain power and outsmart his enemies. But as Walter's power and influence grow, his relationships with those around him begin to suffer. He lies to his family, manipulates his partners, and ultimately becomes a danger to those he cares about. His transformation into Heisenberg, his criminal alter ego, comes at a great cost. The show's exploration of Walter's transformation raises questions about the nature of identity and the consequences of our actions. It touches on themes of morality and the human capacity for evil. While the show doesn't offer easy answers to these questions, it does provide a complex and nuanced portrayal of a man struggling to come to terms with his own identity. Ultimately, Walter's transformation is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the consequences of our choices. It's a powerful reminder that every decision we make has the potential to shape who we are and who we become. And while we may not always be able to control our circumstances, we can choose how we respond to them. Bottom line. And that is why men can relate so much with his story.